Hey everyone! So today I have this giant map of the Benelux States of Belgium, the Netherlands and Luxembourg, and I figured we could have a look at that and do a little tracing. It really is pretty big though. So we're going to have to do this in two parts. Maybe let's first look at Belgium. And then we flip it over and look at the Netherlands. And we want to make sure that all of Luxembourg's on it too, so let's unfold it here at the bottom. Alright, so pretty detailed. How about we start up here? We have Dunkirk, which is in France and which is right by the border to Belgium. And on the other side we have De Panne, which I know because there is a cycling race every spring, I think, which is how I know most of the cities in the north. I'm not too familiar with Belgium other than that. So let's follow this border here down. This looks a little complicated here. We have Armentières on the French side. And then this is an inner Belgian border, which might be the area maybe between the French and the Flemish part. Here we have another famous city for cycling, Roubaix, with the race Paris-Roubaix every spring, which goes across cobblestones and is also called the Hill of the North. I've actually been there to see this, which was pretty cool. But I didn't get to see much of the city. We stayed in Tourcoing right next to it. And it was just for a day. So we have Vieux-Condé, we have Quievrain, and Quievrechamp, Valenciennes, again on the French side. We are passing Mons and La Louvière in Belgium. You have Chaumont and Marpont. And here Charleroi with the famous airport, Namur. We get to Fourmier and a place called Saint-Michel, so not the Saint-Michel. We have Chimay, Couvin, Mariembourg, and Rocroi, Revin, and Fumé on the other side of the border. Here, Chivay. Pogny-sur-Meuse, Charleville-Marcière, Bouillon, Florenville. And we're approaching the border to Luxembourg. We have here Mont-Saint-Martin, Longwy, Pétanche, Erserange, Divertanche. let's go up here for a moment. We have Bastogne, another cycling race destination. So I guess more of a halfway point. The race is Liège, Bastogne, Liège, so they're not finished once they get to Bastogne. Okay, and let's go down here, the Luxembourg border to Germany. So these countries are really interesting because they all use a number of languages. Luxembourg, for example, has 3 official languages, which are French, which we would speak on this side, German, spoken on this side, and Letztburgerisch, I hope I remember this correctly, which could be classified as a German dialect from this region, so very closely related to the dialect spoken across the border in Germany. But it has been standardized in Luxembourg, and you have a standard language for writing it, for speaking it. So it's more than just a dialect, it's actually an official language. Here we have the capital, Luxembourg. And I had a quick look at some of these place names like Ettelbrück, Diekirch, Echternach, Chautrange, Wormeldonge. They also often have a number of names. And here on this map, because it's a map for a German-speaking audience, they, I think, largely use the German names when available. But then here we have clearly a French construction, Esch-sur-Alzette. I hope I'm saying this correctly. This is an unusual letter combination for a French name. But it might just be a mix of different languages since this is a border region. So then we have Betonbourg, again with a French spelling, Monderconge, but Straßen, Kehlen, Hopscheid, Steinzell. That looks pretty German. Alright, so let's continue our border between Belgium and the German region on the other side. Here in this area we see that there are a number of German sounding names on the Belgian side, like Bühlingen and Kalteherberg. There's a small area where German is an official language in Belgium. And if we go north here, we pass Simmerath, Rötgen, and we get to Aachen. Which I would love to visit someday. Maybe in combination with visiting Liège. And then here we already have the Netherlands. But before we continue, let's quickly have a look here on the German side. Because this is a pretty interesting region too. The Ruhrgebiet with Bonn, which was a German capital when I was born. We have Köln, Bergisch Gladbach, Leverkusen, Düsseldorf, Mönchengladbach, Duisburg, Essen, Bochum, Dortmund. And I have to admit, I know most of these names either from their football clubs or because there's a Tatort that takes place there, which is a German crime series, like TV films. It's a series that's been going on for ages and they always take place in different cities. So that's how I know some of these cities. That's my main association. Alright, but we want to go back to Belgium. So down here we've had the French-speaking part of Belgium with Charleroi, Liège, Namur. And now that we're going to the north, we can see that the names change and sound a little different. Because here we're in the Flemish part, and people here speak, I think, a variant of Dutch. It's probably not the same Dutch that's spoken in the Netherlands, but very close to it. So we have Antwerpen here. We have Ghent. We have, if we pronounce it in French, Bruges. In German I would say Brücke. I think it's Brücke in Dutch. I hope so. Okay, so we're not quite at the sea yet, but here we are. From there we have Zeebrugge, Blankenberge, De Haan, Oostende, Middelkerke, Westende, and we get back to the Banne and Dunkirk. We have here Leuven, which I think is a university town, Hasselt, Genk. And as far as I know, the inner Belgium, let's say it's bordered between the Dutch and French-speaking regions, I think follows this line here. If we look, we have Gerardsbergen in the north and Lessines in the south, Frasnes-les-Envins, Wever, Ralmaarden, Halle, St. Pietersleu, Ninove, and here Rebec, Pront-le-Comte, Soigny. I hope I'm pronouncing the Dutch names somewhat correctly. Feel free to correct me in the comments. I find Dutch pronunciation really quite difficult. There are, I don't know if the irregularities, it's probably quite regular, but it's very unusual for me in terms of spelling and in terms of sounds. Not really used to it. Alright. Now, if you want to have a look at the Netherlands, probably best start here with this bit where we have Maastricht and Heerlen. But let's see if we can change up the map for that. Okay, this map is so big, this isn't really easy. I think it's made for using it in a car, but I don't know how that would work best. So, we're down here in Maastricht. But maybe it's best if we start here by the sea again, by the North Sea on the border, near Brugge. So this would be the border to the Netherlands with Aardenburg, St. Laurens. Oostburg, Briskens, Assenede, Saspenchen, Zilsate, St. Niklas, St. Johnston, Hust, passing by Antwerpen here, where we can access the city center from the sea. And we're taking a little detour here, away from the sea, back from Bergen op Zoom to Hogerheide, Essen, Roosendaal. We have Breda, Tilburg, Wortel, Baden-Nassau and Turnhout, the Straat. Here we're passing close to Eindhoven, Molenbeersel, Thorn, Maastricht. Now we're following the Maas south along the river, Pastein, Laken, Eisten. Here we have Plombières, the Waals, Kerkrade. Here we would have Gangelt on the German side. Really sometimes can't quite tell, is this a German word or is it a Dutch word? I think it's Dutch. Münstergelen, Süsteren. Then we have here Waldfeucht, Wassenberg, Heinsberg. This would be this one here, I think so, Herkenbosch, Niederkrüchten, Roermond. We have another Brücken, Ruiver, Techelen and Venlo. We have Kerken, Wachtendonk, Strelen on the German side. Which for me was already sound a little Dutch. You can tell it's a different dialect than what I speak. So Asperden, Kessel, Biedeburgau, Kalka, Rees, Hamilton, Grimp, Groesbeek, Nijmegen, Arnhem, Millingen. Okay, where are we here? So a little north, across and back down. Gendringen. We have Isselburg in the south and Aarten in the north. Winterswijk, Lichtenvoorde, Eibergen, Enschede, and Hengelo. Let's move this a little. So we've passed Münster, Osnabrück, Rheine, and we're going further north past Almelo and Denenkamp, Nordhorn, to Bergen, Kloosterhaar, Harrenberg, Gansbergen, Koevoogden, Schonebeek, Zwartenberg, Emmen, and then straight up north along the Portanger Moor. We have Vlagtwette, Bellingwette, Winschoten, and here we are on the border. So here in I think it's also where some Frisian is spoken, but I'm not quite sure where. I thought maybe it's noticeable in some of the place names, but then place names tend to be reflective of the dialects, and these northern dialects are very foreign to me, so I can't tell what's what. But on the side of the Netherlands we have Groningen, so a big city here, and let's see, how about we follow this line here into the sea. We have two different ones, in fact. We have this red line up to Borkum and Ostland. We have a national park here, Niedersächsisches Wattenmeer. Here we have the Westfriesische Inseln, so the Western Frisian Islands. So yeah, you can probably find some Frisian language here in this area, which is a really fascinating language. It's probably the closest related to English. But as I've mentioned before, I once heard a speech in Frisian and I didn't understand a word. Maybe it's a little easier when you see it written down. Sometimes that's the case. Okay, here we have Leeuwarden. Hope I'm saying this right. We have Harlingen, Den Helder, Den Boeg, Oosterend, Den Hoorn, De Koek. We have Schagerbroek, Schagen, Bergen, Alkmaar, Egmond aan Zee. We have a Haarlem and Zaandam. We have Amsterdam and Lelystad, Hilversum, Amstelveen, Leiden, Zoetermeer, Schravenhage, which is more generally known as Den Haag, or Den Haag, you would probably say. We have Delft and Rotterdam, Dordrecht, and then we're getting down here, back towards the Belgian border with Breda and Tilburg. How about we follow the coastline for a bit? So, we pass Breskens and Schoendijkje. I think maybe I need to spend a long holiday somewhere here by the North Sea to get a feel for the Dutch language. Vlissingen, Westkapelle, Domburg. So we have here Bergen op Zoom, Stavenissen en Sint-Anneland, Dinteloord, Willemstad, Klondert. Here we have some waterways into the center of the country. Oh, it might actually be the Rhine. Yeah, my geography in this region needs some work. Okay, so let's take this bridge and go to the other side. Numansdorp, Bayerland, Oranje Oostvoorne, with a bridge up towards this island. And let's go back. The way to Rotterdam. Schavenzande. And here past Den Haag again, towards the north. Here we have the Markermeer. Let's see if we go from Den Helder, Den Oever, South, Medemblik, Andijk, Enkhuizen, Hoorn, Purmerend and Volendam. If you're listening with headphones, then you can maybe hear the rain pattering against the window. It's only just started, and I'm really glad about it. We've had some very hot days here. See, we have Zwolle, another large town, Apeldoorn, Deventer, the Zwarte Meer, Veluwemeer, Ketelmeer, Tronten, Zwifterband. We have Flevoland. Here we have Noordoostpolder with Immelot, Lemmer, Bakhuizen, Workum, Markum, and we're back up here with Harlingen. I'm always really fascinated by just how densely populated this area is. But of course it makes sense. If you really have to make use of the land that you have. Here we have Nijmegen, and we're going down to Sertogenbos, and here to Eindhoven. Roosendaal. Bergen op Zoom. I would say let's go out here. Middelburg. There's a small road. It's Bornburg. Rijskapelle. From here you can look out across the North Sea. and over to the Belgian border. And I think that's where we're going to stay now. I hope this was relaxing to you. If you speak Dutch, I hope my pronunciation wasn't too bad. I apologize in advance. But sometimes it's fun hearing someone struggle with a language. Okay, should we try and fold this back up? So, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll see you again next time. Good night.